You ever start telling a story, something you're excited about, something that means something to you, and halfway through, the person you're talking to pulls out their phone like they're trying to defuse a bomb. You're standing there mid-thought, mid-heart share, and suddenly you're competing with a text notification or a social media scroll. Yeah, I've been there. And it's funny, because even though part of us knows it's not personal, it still lands like a punch to the gut, doesn't it? Like, hello, I'm standing right here. I'm saying the real words. I'm actually talking to you. Today's episode is for anyone who has ever felt invisible mid-sentence, which, let's be honest, is probably all of us. But first, hi. Welcome to the Wolverine Lifestyle Podcast, where personal growth meets deep thought and introspection. I am your host, Dylan Andres, and in this episode, we are exploring my personal journey through the journal prompt, Finding Your Inner Voice. When do you feel like your voice isn't being heard? What does your inner child need to express? All right, let's just get real. This journal prompt hit me hard. Not because I walk around all day feeling ignored, but because of those small, almost invisible moments that sneak up like a sucker punch. For me, it usually happens in conversations, whether I'm sharing something important or just something casual, and halfway through the person I'm talking to checks their phone, or worse, cuts me off mid-sentence, and never ends up circling back around for me to finish my thoughts. Now, logically, I get it. Life is busy. People are distracted. It's not always about me. But emotionally, man, it still stings sometimes. And that's what I want to dig into today. Because I know if you're here, you're probably a lot like me. Someone who cares about the conversations you're part of. Someone who values connection, not just small talk. Someone who maybe grew up feeling like they had to work a little extra harder just to be seen. And even now, no matter how confident or self-assured we look on the outside, those old patterns sometimes whisper back to life. Have you ever found yourself mid-story and you realize the other person is already somewhere else? How did you feel in that moment? And what story did your mind start telling you about it? The truth is, moments like these don't just scratch the surface. They poke at something way deeper. When I journaled about this, it took me right back to being the new kid in school. You know, the one who technically got invited to the birthday parties, but deep down knew that no one would really notice if I showed up or not. Even when I was included, I still felt pretty invisible. And if I'm being totally honest with you, that's where a lot of my nice guy and people-pleasing tendencies started. I figured if I was extra nice, extra funny, extra easy to be around, maybe people would actually want me there. Maybe they would actually see me. If you feel that lump in your throat right now, you're not alone. Because this isn't just my story. It's a lot of ours. Many high performers, high achievers, especially the ones listening right now, you didn't build your success out of pure ambition. You built it, at least partly, trying to prove to yourself that you belong, trying to finally be heard. And the cost? We learned to read rooms faster than we read ourselves. We learned to make others comfortable even when it left us feeling invisible. It's like you became fluent in everyone else's emotional language, but forgot how to speak your own. I really want you to think about this. When did you first start feeling like you had to perform or people please just to be allowed to stay in the room? Just sit with that for a moment. Here's the beautiful part. We're not those overlooked kids anymore. But sometimes our nervous system doesn't know that yet. Sometimes the old script runs in the background. The voices that whisper, "You're not interesting enough. Nobody really cares what you have to say. Don't make it a big deal. Just shrink." Do any of those sound familiar? When I feel that old sting today, when someone cuts me off or checks their phone mid-conversation, I don't spiral the way that I used to. Instead, I recognize the feeling without making it a fact. Here's the real flex. I soothe my inner child myself. I remind him, "Hey buddy, it's okay. I'm listening. I'm here for you. I'm staying. You're not invisible anymore." And that's not just some cheesy Instagram affirmation, by the way. There's real science behind this. Neuroscience shows that self-validation activates the same reward centers in our brain as external praise does. We can literally retrain our emotional wiring to seek safety inside instead of hunting for it somewhere out there. Next time you notice yourself feeling brushed aside, before rushing to over-explain or over-give or over-apologize, take a deep breath. Acknowledge your worth silently, because your voice matters even when no one is clapping for it. Now, let's get real practical. How do we actually practice this day-to-day life without needing a 40-day silent retreat or a TED Talk invite? Here's a few ways. Shift number 1, a 1% shift to stay in your body. When you feel brushed aside, notice the urge to mentally leave the moment. Instead, plant your feet, feel the ground beneath your feet. Feel your hands, and stay there. Shift number 2, a 1% reframe on interruptions. When someone cuts you off, it's not necessarily a verdict on your worth. Maybe their nervous system is fried. Maybe they're struggling to be present with anyone at this moment. Separate their behavior from your value. Shift number 3, a 1% shift to practice micro assertions. You don't need a megaphone to reclaim your voice. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, "Hey, I wasn't finished sharing. Can I finish my thought?" It's small, it's simple, and it's being human. And if you want a softer entry point, try this. When you notice the urge to shrink, just stay 1 second longer. Not 10 seconds, not a full debate, just 1 second. Because every second you stay rooted when your old self would have disappeared, that's a revolution. That's 1% closer to rewiring your nervous system. This is the truth, the absolute truth. Your voice isn't small. Your story isn't boring. And your presence isn't invisible. It's just that the world is exceptionally noisy, and sometimes people's distractions have more to do with them than it has to do with you. You are not a background character in your own life. You were never meant to beg for attention. You were meant to command your space simply by existing. No performance required. Think of your voice like a lighthouse. It doesn't blink faster just because ships aren't looking. It shines steadily because that's what it was made to do. If today's conversation stirred something in you, good. That means you're ready for more. And if you want to dive deeper into this kind of work, healing those old patterns, reclaiming your voice, stepping into your full presence, you don't have to do this alone. Send me a DM on social media. Let's talk. Message me your biggest takeaway from this. Or If you're not ready to talk yet, follow me on my other socials like Instagram or YouTube for more tools to help with this. Because if there's one thing that I know for sure, it's this. You are worth listening to. You always were. As always, thank you for joining me for this episode of the Wolverine Lifestyle Podcast. If it resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs the reminder that they were never too much, too boring, or too invisible to be heard. They've always had a voice that matters. And if you're ready to take a step further into your own self-exploration journey, grab my free ebook, 30 Days to Know Yourself. The link will be in the show notes along with all of the other links to the rest of my socials and resources. Until next time, remember, you were never meant to be background noise. You're the voice the world didn't know it needed.